Hey, you're listening to the Birth Junkie podcast. Get ready to dive into all things birth with me. We talk about all the hot topics from preconception to postpartum. I'm so excited for you to join me on this journey to realizing that we're all human. We all make mistakes, and it's going to be messy at times. And we're all just kind of figuring it all out as we go. Now, if you're ready to hear raw, unfiltered, and real life stories of struggles, triumphs, and learn a thing or two from parents and birth professionals alike, then come along as we navigate this thing called parenthood together. Today, I wanted to talk about fear and how it holds us back when we're planning our birth. It really grabs a hold of you and you feel like you don't know what to do. You feel like you don't know where to turn to except for your doctor. And a lot of times they don't help. And man, I feel like I I kind of bash on doctors a lot. And I guess I kind of do because I've had so many negative experiences with them, but I realize that they're not all bad. They're not all coercive. But when we are planning, especially when we're planning a VBAC, I feel like there's so much fear instilled in us. And when we turn to our doctors, they instill us with so much more coercive and fearful language. Like, I remember when I was planning my VBAC, eh, they kept telling me that I was being irresponsible, that I was gonna kill myself, that this was gonna kill my baby. Like, so many crazy words that in a normal conversation with a person, you wouldn't say that. You wouldn't be like, "Oh my gosh, you're gonna kill your baby, you're gonna kill yourself." Like, you would try to help somebody, or I would anyway, by giving them facts on both sides of the conversation, like, why is VBAC dangerous? Why is it safe? And then why is a C-section dangerous? Why is a C-section safe? I wouldn't just go with a very, very narrow-minded conclusion without giving both sides to the story. So I feel like that's a big, big hurdle for us to go over is dealing with that fear. And I've really been diving into this super deep lately because fear is so prevalent. And not just planning VBAC, but planning to give birth in general. And I feel like a lot of it stems from TV shows because we see these crazy birth situations and, like people are screaming and yelling and rushing. And it's not always like that. Of course, it can be, but it's not always like that. So we have these preconceived notions of what birth looks like, and it actually looks so different. It can be calm, it can be quiet, it can be enjoyable, it can be some people experience pleasure, like they get orgasms when giving birth. So you really never know what the experience is gonna be like. It just depends on the person, the situation, their body, their baby's position, like so many different factors. So, there's all this fear surrounding it. And I feel like it's really important for us to get to the root of that fear, really dig into ourselves and figure out like it might even stem from your childhood. It might stem from what your parents showed you birth is or what they didn't show you birth is, what they talked about birth could be, what you saw on TV shows when you were a child. So, when you have these visions or these things ingrained into you when you're a child, that just completely rolls into your adulthood and it's like a part of you. And so it's so important to just figure out where that comes from or if it comes from your doctor, like when you're pregnant and, they're saying things to you like, well, if you have to get an episiotomy or if you have to get a C-section. So that already instills these fearful situations into your mind. So dig into yourself, really figure out where your fears are coming from. And once you do, really sit with those fears. And I'm saying, like, get in a quiet corner, spot, whatever, like, turn the lights out, make sure it's quiet, and I know if you have other kids, like, this is really hard, but it's so important to sit alone in your own thoughts in quiet and think about, where does this fear come from? Why do I have this? Because once you figure that out, you're able to move on to the next step in releasing those fears. So sit with that, and once you're done sitting with that, write all those fears down on a piece of paper. Literally, one by one, go through every single fear, write them down. And no matter what fear it is, if it's valid enough to present itself to you, then it's valid to write down. No matter how silly it might seem, like the fear of tearing. There's a lot of people that fear that they're going to tear. And I was one of those people. I was scared that I was going to tear because you hear all these horror stories. And that's another thing that your fears might come from your friends, from their birth stories. Because I know I've heard some friends saying, "Oh, I ripped from my vagina to my butthole. I had a fourth-degree tear and I had to take so long to heal. I took a year to heal," whatever. And, of course, that is such a valid fear. Write it down. Just write it down. Like, you're fearful for people to see you naked. You're fearful to be, in your primal self, to be yourself around others. Write it down. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's presenting itself in your mind as a fear, write it down. Okay, so once you have your list of fears, I want you to get in front of the mirror and get your list of your fears and go down that list one by one and say, "I am afraid to tear. I am afraid to be seen naked. I am afraid I'm going to have a C-section." Whatever the fear is, say it to yourself. Look yourself in the eyes. Like, this will help you. This will help you because you're going to realize how your fears sound out loud. And then once you're done saying this to yourself in the mirror, I want you to take this paper and I want you to go to your partner if you have one or your support team, and I want you to talk it out with them. So, this is the third thing you're going to do. You're going to take that paper and you're going to go to that support team and you're going to talk. You're going to talk your fears out with them. You're going to tell them all your fears one by one. Once you tell them your fears one by one, I want you to think about together, what is the worst thing that can happen with each fear, okay? And then I want you to talk about, what's the best case scenario with this fear, okay? And now, if the worst case scenario does happen, what am I going to do? How am I going to get through this if my worst case scenario happens? What will I do? Like, um are you going to enlist another support person so that if this does happen, like, say you're afraid your doctor's gonna coerce you into doing something that you don't want to do, make sure that you have either your doula or your partner, whoever your support person is, ready. That can be one of the things that you are using to help that worst case scenario. So if your doctor is telling you, "No, you need to go have a C-section," have that support person that, if you cannot talk for yourself at the moment because you're going through labor, it's very intense, then that person is designated to be like, "No, we need some time to think about this." That way, it slows everything down and you don't feel rushed and you can really think about what's happening and you can control the situation as best you can. Obviously, if your doctor says you need a C-section and it's not an actual emergency, they're going to be like, "Okay, take the time you need." And sometimes, if you tell your provider, "We're going to pray about this," a lot of times they will actually just leave the room to give you privacy. So, that's one tip. If you want to get rid of them, say, we need to pray about this together. And then they will a lot of times just leave. So, after you go through these scenarios with your partner, support person, whoever, and you think about the best case scenario and the worst case scenario, and you think about what you can do if that worst case scenario happens, that is that step. Okay. When you guys are done talking and you're done writing everything down, like what you're going to do in those situations, take all those fears, take that paper that all your fears are on, take it outside with a lighter because you're going to burn them. Okay. So this is step number 4. You are going to take your paper with your fears written on it and you are going to burn it. Literally set it on fire and burn it. And I want you to say, while you're doing this, these fears do not control me. And then you're just going to burn it. Okay? I really seriously want you to do that and watch it burn. Watch it burn completely into ash. Okay. Those fears are going to disappear. I'm telling you. Okay. All right. So that is step number 4. We're moving on to step number 5. Okay. So you are going to write down some positive affirmations that feel good to you. Like I personally wrote down affirmations such as, I am strong. My body can birth my baby. My body was made to do this. My uterus is strong. And I mixed it up too. I put different positive affirmations, whatever felt good to me for that day, because after I wrote these affirmations down, I literally, there's a lot of mirror work in this, okay? I looked in that mirror and I said these affirmations to myself. I looked myself in the eyes and I read off each affirmation for the day. And it was like 5. I mixed it up, but it was like I put different ones on this. I had a running list of affirmations, okay? And each and every day I would speak 5 to 10 affirmations to myself in the mirror and say them out loud, not just in my head either. I said it out loud, okay? I really want you to do this because this is powerful. It does feel a little bit awkward to just stare at yourself in the mirror if you're not used to doing this type of mirror work. It can feel awkward. But if you do this every single day, it is going to feel more natural and it is going to empower you and help you feel confident like crazy. I'm not kidding. This stuff is powerful. So do this, okay? Every single day. This is not a one-time thing that you just do one day and that's it. You're good. Your fears are gone. No, 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 no. This is a daily practice, okay? And this is just one fear release activity that you can do. There's many. And I can come back on here and, give you some more of those because I have a whole toolkit of fear releasing activities that work. But, with anything, if you don't practice this every single day, it's not going to work. Okay. We're not going to be naive and we're not going to be lazy. Like, if we really want this, if you really want this, you're going to do it. Okay. It's in my experience, it's worth it. It is so worth it. And it takes you hardly any time. Like putting all these exercises together, the thing that takes the longest is talking out your fears and thinking of the best and the worst case scenario with your partner, support person, whoever it is. That's the thing that takes the longest. All right. Everything else is really quick. I mean, like doing the daily positive affirmations, speaking that power into yourself, that can take like a couple minutes a day, like 2 to 5 minutes, depending on how deep you go And I'll tell you, when I was doing this, I would look into the mirror and sometimes I would get super emotional. I would cry. I would look at myself and cry. And at first I would because I was still scared. And I was like, can I really do this? Will this really work? And then as I got towards the end, I would cry too. Why? Because I believed in my damn self so much. I was like, I got this. There's nothing that's going to stand in my way. I'm not scared. I'm ready. I was like, bring it on, baby. I'm so ready for this. Like, I've prepared and I've trained for this. There's nothing that's going to stand in my way, not even myself. I'm not going to stand in my way. These fearful thoughts, they're not going to stand in my way. Like, I freaking got this. I got this on lock. Like, no fear, no fear. I felt like almost like a crazy person because I was like, no fear. I was like so ready. And I remember I was actually asked, like, aren't you scared? Aren't you scared that your uterus is going to rupture? Aren't you scared? And I was like, nope. I trust my body. I believe in my body's innate ability to give birth to my baby out of my vagina. It is going to happen. Like, there's nothing that's going to hold me back because I got this. I got this. And if you've been following my story, I freaking did it. I freaking did it. Like, I birthed my baby against all odds, against everything. Like my providers would tell me, against what I heard friends and family tell me. I did it against a lot because I released those fears. Okay. I didn't let them hold me back. And I feel like this not just pertains to birth, but this is like everyday life stuff, okay? Like this can help with everything. Everything. Like if you have a fear of, I don't know, whatever it is, whatever that fear is, like put these steps towards it. Work on those fears. Because if you really look at the bigger picture and you actually look at what can actually happen, like what is the actual worst case scenario, it's not that bad. It's really not. We hold ourselves back a lot because of those fears. And I'll also relate it to business because once I became a doula and a birth educator, and now I consider myself a mindset coach because I freaking enjoy this mindset stuff, this mindset work so much. I never realized how much I would enjoy it. Like, I love it because there's so much that is holding us back. And let's go back to my thought. I have a little bit of ADHD, so I can be all over the place. But go back to my original thought. Okay, this can pertain to anything in our life because as a doula, you are now an entrepreneur. Unless you are, belonging to like a doula collective, you're your own boss. You do everything. I didn't realize that at all before I became a doula. Once I started becoming a doula and doing the doula work and all the stuff, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like doing the finances, doing the marketing. I have to learn how to pay for my expenses and also pay for myself. There's so much to it. And I was scared in the beginning. I was like, how am I going to do this? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not an entrepreneur. But I did these exercises when I was preparing because I noticed that all this fearful language was coming into my mind. And I was like, why? Why am I so scared? What am I so scared of? And of course, I'll just give you an example, fear of failure. I was scared to fail. I was scared to lose all of our money that I invested in becoming a doula because there's money that you have to invest, you know? It's like you have to invest in your business. And I do placenta encapsulation. So before I could start doing encapsulation, I actually pre-bought all the stuff, the dehydrator, the pill jars, like there's so many different things that you need to buy because I have a whole separate placenta kit that I have to sterilize and make sure it's like stainless steel or glass so that there's no cross contamination. Anyways, it's a whole thing. So, there's that big fear of failure. It's like, am I going to lose money for my family because I'm pursuing something that I'm passionate about? And so there's a lot of pressure and there's a lot of fear. So, like I said, it pertains to everything in your life. Doing those fear clearing exercises, that really helped me coming into this business. Now, I'm not going to say I'm perfect because as an entrepreneur, your business is always evolving. So there's always something different, you're getting your hands into. But that was a humongous step that I took to help get this fear out of my mind because it's toxic. Fear is toxic. It keeps us from doing so many things. And like, the way I look at it is like, we only have this one life, okay, that we remember, unless you believe in resurrection or reincarnation. But we only have this one life, okay? Why are we going to let fear hold us back from living our best life? You know how big the world is? There's so much world out there for us to explore, experience. We can't let fear hold us back. It's not worth it. Because if we let fear hold us back, we're going to be listening to everybody telling us what to do instead of doing what we want to do. We're not going to push past that line that's put in front of us because that's scary. And I get that. It's freaking scary. But if you stay behind that line, you always will. And you're never going to live to your full potential. You're never going to do the things that scare you because you're going to let that fear hold you back. We don't know how beautiful, how amazing our lives can be if we just push past that line. Did you know that we're born with two fears? One is the fear of falling, and the other is the fear of loud noises. Any other fear is learned, okay? Any other fear besides those two in our entire lives is learned. We're not born with these fears. So if these fears are learned, then guess what? We can overcome them because we can learn how to overcome them. All right. That's all I wanted to say today. I just had to get that out there because, oh my goodness, it's been inside of me because I've had so many consultations with people, and that is like the biggest thing is like they're so scared. They're so scared of birth. They're so scared of pregnancy, of postpartum. They're so scared. There's just this, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. That's a big word that I hear all the time. So I really just want you to push past this and be able to. And if you need help, I'm here. I am so here for you. And like I said, I've been diving into mindset work and I've actually been doing mindset coaching. So I can help you with your mindset if you need help, if you need to do the work to clear those fears and you need a little extra help than the tips that I gave you, just click the link in the show notes and we can set up like a discovery call and we can see if we even align to work together. And once we get on this discovery call, if we decide we want to work together, then we go through these weekly coaching calls, and I will help get your mindset right. We will help push past those fears together because I know it can be lonely. It can feel so lonely when you're trying to do this important work. So I just want to make sure that you know I'm in your corner. And if you need that help, I'm here. Okay. All right. Well, my dear friend, I am going to sign off. But if you need me, I'm here. Until next time. Bye. Hey, so I wanted to take a quick moment and share a company with you that I have actually started supporting. So the name is called Needed. And I think this name is so appropriate because these products are so needed. What they have is they have prenatals, and it comes in pills and powder form. So there's different ways that you can take it, which is super convenient, especially if you're dealing with like morning sickness. The powder is perfect because you can just add it into like your oatmeal or smoothies. And what they have as well is electrolyte drink. So, well, it's powder and you can add it to your drink. And oh my gosh, game changer. Like, this can be used while you're pregnant or breastfeeding. And, especially when you're breastfeeding, you need to replenish those electrolytes, among other things. But that's just one super important aspect of them. If you enter the code birthing come true, you are able to get 20% off. So anyways, go to needed.com. That way you can order your supplements. They cover preconception to postpartum. It's pretty amazing. So again, that's go to needed.com, and then you'll see all our amazing products. Enter birthing come true in the code section and you'll get a percentage off. I really hope you enjoyed listening to this episode as much as I enjoyed creating it. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of the discussions on all of these hot topics. Head over to my Instagram at the Birth Junkie Podcast to let me know what you thought about this episode. I can't wait to see you here next week. Until next time, bye.